Shalom family. I just Dewan coming to you today again, and I just want to wish you a wonderful Shabbat, Yawab Shabbat. Uh, I'm glad to be here with you today and every day. Um, Today I'm going to start off with a little prayer for you and for me and my family and our communities throughout the world and the diaspora. Father, I pray for this day and this word that I give to your people, Father, uh, be a blessing unto you. May it be knowledgeable and may it be helpful, Father. May it reach those who you wish it to reach and teach those who wants to be taught. Father, I just pray that you continue to watch over for all the children all over the world in the diaspora, keeping them safe and protecting them as only you can. Father, I just thank you for this day and every day. The water Abba, the water Abba. Halaya and halaya. Okay, okay, family. Today I'm gonna talk to you this Sabbath uh, about a conversation that I've noticed that's been picking up a lot on the internet. I mean, I spoke earlier a month ago on the subject of us fleeing Babylon. Uh, if you want to, you can go back and look at my previous ones about the house is on fire. But today I'm going to try to appeal one more time to the wisdom in this, in fleeing Babylon. The only reason I do this is because I love my family. If I didn't care, I wouldn't bother. But I do. And I know it's part of my job as a watchman, as well as most of you, to do our best to bring our people home into a safer environment. There's no totally safe environment anywhere in the world. We know that Babylon is everywhere in the world. So we know that. But we know there are safer places than others. Now, if you want to lie to yourself and tell you that America is the safest place, you know that's a lie. 400 years we know that's been a lie. But I'm not going to go into that because I had that conversation prior. I want you to, if you can, and if it's possible, if you have your scripture with you, I'm just going to go over a few verses. And I hope it helped you. I mean, it always helped me reading scripture. You know, it always helps me. I love the word. um, I wake up thinking about the word. I go to sleep thinking about the word. It embodies me. So I want you to, if you can, go to Matthew 7. I'm going to repeat Matthew 7. And we're going to start at 21 and go to verse 23. Matthew 7, verse 21 through 23. Give you a second to get there, my brothers and sisters. No. All right, let me read. You know, like they say, read. Okay. All right. Matthew 7 and 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Autowan, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Matthew 7 and 22. Many will say to me in that day, Autowan, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, in thy name done many wonderful works? Matthew 7 and 23. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Now, the reason why I give you this verse, and it doesn't apply to everybody. We know our hearts or our thoughts, and we know the work that we do for the Father. But we got to understand uh, not being obedient to all of His words can sometimes let, even though you believe that you're doing the right thing, and not being obedient to all of His word to the best of your ability can make you not be seen, even though you may believe you're doing the work. The Father has very strict guidelines on what He wants us to do. And He wants us to follow our law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. That's all we can do. But we always have to be honest about if we are truly trying to keep the law, statute, and commandments to the best of our ability. We can't lie to ourselves because we know He see all. And I give you an example because when Yahweh Shai walked the earth, He used a lot of parables. And the reason why He used a lot of parables because the people at the time were not so much educated. I think a lot of Israelites don't understand that the scriptures were meant to be simple. It wasn't deep and it wasn't meant to be complicated. The people at the time probably were at the most 97% of them were illiterate. They could not read or write. They did not have lots of schools. They didn't have all these things that we have today. So the Father made scripture simple. And I know a lot of people out there like to believe that they're deep when they look into things deeper than what it is. But some things are simply just what they were. The Father knew the people He was dealing with. He knew them. Because we know back then, during that time, only the rich went to school. The scribes and the monks, who in the monks, not very rich, but they belonged to a rich organization, and they went to school to learn economics and writing for the church at the time, or the king. Some of the kings didn't even know how to read and write. Look it up. So when we understand that back in the day, when these things were written, most of it was passed on orally because most people didn't know how to read or write. So it was to be a simple book for a simple people. So I know a lot of people want to believe and they want to make themselves feel more intelligent that it was deeper than what it is. And that's fine. If you choose to do that, it's fine with you. But let me go back to this, when we were talking about obedience. And He's saying that those who believe that they know Him and they're keeping His word, this is based, I'm going to simplify it. Because that's what Yahweh Shai would have did. He would have used a simple parable. When He talked to the fishermen, He used a parable. When He talked to different groups of people, He used parables that they could understand in the most simplistic way. So I'm going to try to do that. To me, this verse, when He talks about those who believe they know Him, can go into the area of those who follow His word, that those, even the ones on the streets that teachers and priests, they believe they're doing it. But partially, they do the things they still want to do. Simple things, sort of like, well, I don't want to wear my fringes. Or a woman, well, I don't want to wear a dress. I want to wear pants. That's disobedience to the Father. I don't know what the weight those have onto the Father and how He weight those for you to get in the kingdom. But I always say, in Matthew 17 to 19, it tell you if you keep His commandments, you can become great in the kingdom. If you tell those to do least or not to do them, I'm simplifying it, then they will be least in the kingdom. So we understand that according to how well we keep His commandments is going to determine our status in the kingdom. So those who choose to follow some and not to do others, you are creating your position in the kingdom. I choose to do all to the best of my ability because I want to become great in the kingdom. I'm sorry for taking you off that trail, but let me go back to what I was talking about also. So what I mean by when this verse from Matthew 7 to 21, he's talking about following Yahweh Shai in his teachings in so many ways. That's what he's saying. Do as you told. Just like the comment he tell you, flee Babylon. And we say, well, we're not going to flee Babylon. And well, what is Babylon? We know Babylon is a system. So whether you're in the UK or whether you in any of the Western colonizing communities that are oppressing our people, he's telling you to leave. Now, I'm not going to go into where you're supposed to go. We all know it's supposed to be Africa. Throughout Scripture, every time they left, it was always Africa. So now you can go back and look at my other videos because that's not what this is about. So being obedient to the Father is important. And I read that to you first because as I go further, I want you to understand obedience is important and following what he says. Now I'm going to read some other verses because they continue on. I'm just going to read. You will get the concept once I get to it. Matthew 7 and 24 through Matthew 7 and 27. These are also important because this is going to determine your foundation on how you building and how you may survive what we go through or this tribulation or how we fail. Part of it heavily rely on obedience to the Father, doing what he say do. He told you what to do in Scripture. Now you can listen or you cannot. But let me read Matthew 7 and 24. Therefore, whoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. So when the Most High gives you your marching orders, and he tells you you have to flee, just like in 70 AE, or he tells you the Exodus when the children were in Egypt, when they prepared to leave to cross the Red Sea, and he gave them their marching orders. So they had to do some work to do it. They obeyed. It's the same concept today. You have your marching orders. I'm going to keep reading. Matthew 7 and 25. And the rain and the descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. So he's saying when you listen to him, you follow his obedience, you do as he say. You have to do that. Yeah, you will build your foundation on a rock. You will be successful where you go. As you flee, you will be successful. Now, those who say, well, I'm kind of going to do what I want to do. I hear him. I know what he said, but I trust in my own. I know he says this in Scripture. I know he says this. Now I can manipulate it to trying to call wherever I am the promised land or whatever, but I know it ain't. I know deep inside this is not the promised land. And we know America's not the promised land. That's just one place. So I'm going to read Matthew 7 and 26. And everyone that hearken to these saying of mine, I doeth them not. Those are the ones that do what they want to do. Shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sands. And when the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell. And the great was the fall on it. So you're going to have to decide what you're going to build your house on. And your house is your family. It's just not a word. That's your children. That's your wife. Maybe your mom if she stayed with you, or your father. Either you building your house on a rock or you building your house on sand, brothers and sisters. You know what he told you to do. We talked about this in my other video in 70 AE when 1.5 million fled into Africa. Those who were obedient build a house on a rock. I want you to absorb that if you can. So are you building your house on a rock or are you building your house on sand? Because most people who build a house on sand is because of the simple convenience of the world. And that's real. Look at why you want to stay. And I bet you it comes down to convenience and lack of faith. So I'm going to give you an example because I know a lot of you say, I should not have no fear and this and that, and that's true. But the Father is always telling you to move because it's wisdom. You got to be wise. I may not feel fire, but it still burns. I'm going to repeat that. I may not fear fire, but it still burns. Another parable. So I'm going to give you another example. It said the Most High is always telling us to move something. Just like when you go to Exodus 14 and 15. And it's talking about Moses, and Moses, he's at the Exodus, and he's at the sea. So Exodus 14 and 15. And it said, and Yahweh said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? I'm sorry, let me repeat that. Wherefore criest thou unto me? He said, why are you crying to me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. So they were at the Red Sea. I want you to think about that. And he said, stop crying to me. He's telling them, stop praying and crying and move forward. Move. He's telling them to move because they got to step on faith when he parted that sea. Stop crying and move. And then he told them to stretch the rod and he divided it. The sea. So then Exodus 14 and 18. And the Egyptians shall know. This is the reason why. Let me repeat. This is the reason why he wanted them to step out on faith. This is the reason why you have to step out on faith when you come here. This is the main reason why you have to step out on faith when you come here. It ain't going to be perfect when you get here. All your finances, unless you're rich, ain't going to be perfect when you get here. It's just not going to happen if he wants you to step out on faith, because if it was, then you going to think you the one that did it. The Father always wants everyone to know that he is your deliverer and not you. Because men's head can get too big. We don't do anything without him allowing it. You got to understand that. So you have to step out on faith. That's just the way it works. So even in Exodus 14 and 18, as they crossed the Red Sea, he waited till the last minute. He waited till the armies come up on them. He waited so they would understand that it's him that's doing it before he parted that Red Sea. They were cornered. They had nowhere to go. If they had another outlet and another man saying, let's go this way, let's go right or left, and they would have went that way, they would have thought it was them that was doing it. They would have thought they were clever. And they found a way out. But he made it so that they solely depended on him, or they were going to die. And when Moses parted the sea, and Exodus 14 and 18 tells you that. And it said, and the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh. And when I have gotten me honored up on the Pharaoh, up on the chariots, and up on the horsemen. He wanted them to know that he was the one that did this. Not you, not me, not Moses. That's where you are today. Where's your faith? Because you're going to keep going to the point, because right now you're building your house on sand. You're not building it on a rock because you're not being obedient. So I'm talking to you this day because, one, I love you. And I know what that word means. I want you to have true salvation. I want you to have peace. Because you are my brothers and you are my sisters. So I came to you today because I know there's a lot about going on out there, and I know a lot going on in America. I know that things are changing. I know all about the mandates, but I'm not going to all that. Let's just go into the common sense. It's time to come home. Now, I'm going to say this one last time. Ain't no terrorists come to get you. They didn't come get Yahweh Shai. They didn't come get Moses. They didn't come get those that was in 70 AE. They didn't come get those. They didn't take the people out of Egypt in chariots. So they didn't even come to get Yahweh Shai and get him and take him from place to place as he traveled. So I'm going to ask you, what makes you better than them? He didn't come to get any of the prophets. They had to get on their donkeys or their camels, and they had to move from place to place. He didn't send no chariots for them to move them from place to place. Every time he had them to move in mass groups, they moved on their own. Anytime they gathered, because y'all believe the word gathering, doesn't mean he gonna pick you up and take you. That means he may put the thoughts in your head. He may put the will and the ruach in you to move together. When they gathered and they moved on their own. Now, why do I tell you this? Because I love you. Common sense has to start setting in. Now, there's a lot of groups out there and a lot of communities out there are preparing for you to come to Africa. They are. I'm one. Torah keeping community. TK community. Now, we welcome you. We building family by family here in the Kumasi area in Ghana. Me personally, I have acquired some land, and like I tell, when people flee, and when it comes to the point when we have mass amount of people fleeing, I am more than willing to let them stay on my land. No charge. They may have to stay in tents and stuff till they can get their stuff together, but again, I'm fine with that because they're my people. Eventually, we can build the housing that they need, but I need support for that. I'm not getting any much, but well, from a few people who believe in me and want to help me. And I appreciate each and every one of you have given to help my community. But I will, again, like I always say, put every penny of mine into building this community because this was directed to me by the Most High. I'm not here to get rich. I don't want your money. I want to build a community for my people. A Torah-keeping community. Now, if you want to give, you can. I appreciate it. Even if you didn't want to come and you feel like, you know what, I don't care. I want to just stay where I'm at and I want to do. Why not help your people? I don't understand why we won't want to help the people who choose to flee. I mean, you can help me out or you can help the world out, the Western world with your money. You can help your people out or you can help the Western world, which really ain't going to do nothing for your people. I would love, it's not just any community of mine, any of the communities here trying to build in Africa, any of them. If you're going to contribute to them to help your people. They're trying to build a safe haven for them. You may need that safe haven. Look at it as an investment in the future for you. It's a fact. It's something to think about. But back to what I was talking about. The obedience and just being wise and having some wisdom. I'm not beating you guys up, but it can be a little frustrating when you see the common sense factor of things, and you see what's going to happen to your people, and you don't want it to happen unnecessarily if they can avoid it. Just like if you go back to the video, it's a burning house, it will make perfect sense to you. Think about it. Truly think about it, family. I'm going to keep you in my prayers. You will always be in my heart. I'm gonna pray that you wake up, and I'm gonna pray this message reach the people in need to reach. I pray you share it, because it may not be you who need to hear this. Someone else may be preparing to come. Maybe someone else may need to come. And one of the things, if they come to here to Kumasi area, I am here to guide them, and I am here to help them, because they're my brothers and sisters. I will do my best. I repeat, I will do my best for anyone that comes here to make sure they do not fail. Between me and the Most High, I know they will not. Man, I'm just a servant now. Don't get me wrong. He uses me to serve. So, if I say it correctly, between the Most High, but it also depends on them. They have to do the work, and they also have to have the faith. I can't give them that, and I can't make them do that. I wish I could, because I would. Because I love them enough to want them to be safe. But like I always tell people, the greatest thing that the Most High have given us is free will. The ability to choose. That's why I like reading the big book of Ezekiel, because he poses the questions. If you have a chance, read Ezekiel. That I always wanted to know. So I'm going to let you, family, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you enjoy your Sabbath, your wife's Sabbath, and have a good Sabbath. And I will continue to pray for you, and hope that you do well. You take care, family. And Shalom.